So the first common OCD barrier was using ERP or any recovery skills as a means to control the obsessions, the intrusive thoughts. So really having judgment at the heart of this. I don't want these thoughts and emotions and sensations. And I'm going to do anything to get it out of my head and body. And of course, this makes a lot of sense. In fact, almost anyone going to therapy for OCD or any challenge is going to be somewhat invested in this agenda. But as we said in the first video, this causes these two paradoxical effects of we push something away in our head and it rebounds back stronger, like the annoying song, or a headache, or another sensory experience that we push away that gets louder, or we track our mind for the presence of these thoughts, or the presence of these feelings in our body, and we actually see more of it. Our threat center is going, this is the problem. I look out for it, sees a tiny little bit of anxiety or an intrusive thought, and then we're going to get more through the tracking and monitoring and trying to push it away and judging. And paradoxically, we get more of these experiences. Um, and, of course, this makes a lot of sense. We really don't want to have these thoughts. We're frightened or distressed or confused by what they're saying or questioning. And if we're more, used to having them, we're not so worried about that, then we're more distressed about the distraction they're causing in our life and the way they pull us out of the experiences that are really important to us. So, um, the antidote to this is that we've got to try and release these strategies of pushing away and monitoring, um, and really replace this with acceptance and with the idea and act of diffusion, the ability to get some distance from our thoughts, to acknowledge them rather than monitor or ruminate or fixate on the thoughts. Just allow them to come and go, have some distance from them, and be able to focus on what matters to us in the moment, to engage in that. So ways of training this, all the skills we do on this channel and in the OCD playlist would be, great places to begin. You can start developing your drop-in anchor skills. You can go a bit deeper into fusion or dipping in and out the stream. You can build up acceptance of feelings. You can develop your urge surfing skills for more the urges around compulsions. So if we develop all of these skills in the service of values and goals and building a life that matters to us, um, that's going to get a lot of the way towards this goal of changing this into an acceptance agenda, not acceptance of the feared outcome of OCD, but the acceptance that right now I have intrusive thoughts that if I try and control, get worse, and difficult feelings and sensations that if I try and control also get worse, so, or get more intense or more frequent. So we want to swap that around with just developing our skills over time and then judging our progress on our psychological flexibility and the ability to let thoughts and feelings go and stay in contact with valued actions, things that matter to us, people that matter to us. We can add to this with compassionate self-talk to instruct and motivate ourselves in this agenda. So you can coach yourself through the skills. You can remind yourself, okay, I'm going to accept these thoughts, these automatic intrusive thoughts. I'm going to accept these feelings. Right, Johnny, focus on your goals today. What do you need to do? What would you like to do? What would be good for you? Let's do it. Let's focus on it. So you can kind of coach yourself through like a fitness coach or something in your head, but try to have a compassionate quality, and so that this reminds you of the skills you're training here. Relaxing your body, I think, is helpful, not in a struggle way, but relaxation of the body sort of conveys that we're accepting something. If I have a strong feeling of anxiety and I relax my body around it, it's like I'm making room for it, as long as I'm not relaxing, trying to get rid of it. So I'm relaxing to sort of drop all the secondary physical reaction to the feeling. So there might be, the intrusive thoughts, feeling of uncertainty, anxiety, doubt, disgust, shame, guilt, numbness, something else, and then we brace and tense around it. So if we can relax that a little bit, that's like the body's level of sort of diffusing and allowing and accepting. Um, if we practice our engagement skills, so how much we can really focus on the things that matter with the noise in our mind chattering away, throwing the automatic intrusive thoughts, get better and better at that, judge your progress at how good you are at having those thoughts and staying engaged with what matters, doing exposure work, having the thoughts and staying present with your values during that, and your goals and the people and the things that matter to you. So really those engagement skills, and that opens the way for the silver lining, that if I can stay focused and engaged with these intrusive thoughts going ping, ping, ping in my mind, then when that eases and calms, I'm going to have this much stronger focus to use in my work, in my relationships, in my hobbies. And really, everyone predicts, or everyone describes being present and focused as one of the best things in life. If you hear people's peak experiences, if you hear flow experiences, in work, in pleasure, in connection, it's all about attention. And everyone says they're distracted and can't focus. Everyone talks about this. So to train your attention and focus is just such a valuable skill. So this is like attention training with weights. You've got like a heavy rucksack on your back, and you're learning to walk through that pain, and you're getting stronger. So when you take the backpack off, you're much fitter, much more able to concentrate and focus on what matters to you. And this can be a silver lining that can, increase this acceptance agenda. The other idea I like here is the pain alarm clock. So the intrusive thoughts and feelings become like an alarm clock to come back to the present moment, come back to your values, to take a moment to think about what you're doing, and is it what you want to be spending your time on in your life. You don't want to ruminate about this and start going to OCD about this, but just making a choice, thinking about your life so far, your core values, your goals, the constraints on your time, and then making a choice, and then assessing through action whether that choice is right. We really want to make those choices, though. So the pain alarm clock reminds us: use skills, step back, detach, healthy distance from our thoughts and feelings, make room for all of that experience to come and go, and then engage in values. Think about values for a moment. Just like the compassionate inner coach, we can coach ourselves to remember, what are my goals today? What helps me? So the pain alarm clock is really key. And finally, we're not saying there's no space for sadness and grief and pain at this experience. It is hell. It is so difficult at times. So we're not saying you don't make any space for that. But grief is an active process. It's not a ruminative process, really. When it's healthy grief, you are feeling those emotions, tapping into them, hopefully connecting with others, getting some support, and then moving into action and moving back into life. So we want to do that. We want to not ruminate in our head about how unfair and difficult and everything this is. That's, to me, a secondary spike of OCD that just pulls us back into, reassuring ourselves, I hate this experience, so it must not be true, or, ruminating and analyzing, thinking about why, if I got this, what's it all about, becomes mental compulsion. So getting out of that stuff with our skills, and then just feeling the sadness, self-compassion. There's a lot of self-compassion practices here, maybe working it through in therapy in a non-ruminative way, connecting with others, but then making that connection about recovery and what you want to build in your life and increase, rather than what you want to get rid of. And not building our identity as someone that is struggling with this chronic, awful illness that, has no hope. Instead, I'm getting better and stronger at dealing with the symptoms and getting more engaged in my life, and it will get easier or it'll stay intense. Whatever it does, I really don't care, because I want to make my life meaningful and important and focus on that. And come along for the ride with me. Let's do it together.